The New Orleans Saints should not draft a quarterback this year because they are more than a quarterback away. Today, ladies and gentlemen, the Backdrop NFL Live. This is from Mina Kimes' YouTube channel. Today, we're going to talk about the concept, the philosophy of not being a quarterback away for a team. It's something I hear all the time. It's something I'm sure you've heard all the time. It's something that's in the comment section all the time. This is one of those assumptions or one of those things where it's just kind of accepted, right? It's kind of similar to you should run the ball on third and short. You know, like you should punt on fourth down. Like it's the same kind of idea that like it sounds good. We've thought that for a long time, but today we're going to find out if it's actually true.
Uncertainty around Carr's health impact what the Saints do early in the draft?
No, absolutely not. If they loved one of the quarterbacks enough to draft him with Derek Carr, go ahead and take him. But Derek Carr's injury shouldn't make them reach for a quarterback or change their mind. It really comes down to how they evaluate those two players, Shedeur Sanders and Jackson Dart, after Cam Ward, who's going to be gone by then. And I'll add this, Stan, a concern of mine with the Saints taking a quarterback is this team is very far from being a quarterback away, and I would worry a little bit about a young quarterback being thrust into action. To my eye, they need offensive tackle, wide receiver. You know, Chris Olave's got his injury history on that side of the ball. You could add running back as well behind Kamara, and then on the other.
All right, so we now have our thesis. Now, before I get into it, what do you think? Do you think there is merit to the idea of don't draft a quarterback, draft the offensive line, build out the playmakers, get wide receivers, get running backs? How do you feel about this? All right. Because I think the data and what you'll see is kind of shocking. And, you know, when I first saw it, I was surprised. And then you dig into it and you realize, like, okay, all right, fine. So on the surface, the first thing I'll say is if you aren't a quarterback away, why the hell would you think you're a wide receiver away? Or why would you think you're an offensive lineman away? Or why would you think you're a cornerback away or a linebacker away? Right? That doesn't make sense either. You could easily say, well, the Saints need a linebacker, but I wouldn't draft one at 9 because they're not a linebacker away. And then you'd be like, well, that doesn't really mean anything, right? And the second thing I would say is there's two types of teams. Teams that are a contender and teams that are a quarterback away from being a contender. And now you might say, well, that doesn't make sense. Well, let's look at the data. Okay, this is from Kevin Cole. This is my guy, Kevin Cole. We reference him all the time. He used to be at PFF. Now he's doing his own thing at Unexpected. It's fantastic. Kevin is awesome. He also does podcasts and stuff, so check him out. Let's do the offensive line first. There is actually a negative correlation between offensive line and rookie quarterback success. That alone is insane, okay? Not only is it not correlated, i.e., the offensive line ranking has absolutely nothing to do with the quarterback success, but that a better offensive line has actually negatively correlated with rookie quarterback success, okay? That is crazy. Now, couple of examples, all right? So 2020. Joe Burrow, Tua, Justin Herbert. Their three offensive lines were 32, 31, and 30. All right, the worst three offensive lines in the NFL. Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills, 29th offensive line. Lamar Jackson, his rookie season, 24th offensive line. Deshaun Watson. Now, Deshaun Watson now isn't great, but his rookie year and his early time with Houston, he was fantastic. 29th offensive line, okay? Jaden Daniels last year, 27th offensive line, okay? So that negative correlation to the offensive line is interesting. Now, I'll kind of give you a reasoning afterwards here. Now, let's look at the playmakers, okay? Mina mentioned wide receivers, running backs, whatever. How do you think offensive weapons rank? There's no correlation there. Look at this. So this is using Bill Barnwell. He does a preseason, PFF also does one, but Bill Barnwell does a preseason playmaker ranking the position group for every team in the NFL, okay? The bottom to the right is the worst that the weapon ranking is. You can see 30 in the bottom right corner. The vertical is EPA per play from the quarterback, okay? As you can see, Zero correlation at all to that. And let's take a look at some of them. 2017, what do you think this offense was ranked? You got Kareem Hunt at running back. You got Tyreek Hill at wide receiver. Demarcus Robinson, Travis Kelce at tight end. Where do you think this was ranked? I'll give you a hint. It was 27th. 27th offensive grouping. The next year, it was first overall. What do you think the difference is? Because I'll give you another hint. The difference wasn't Kareem Hunt. The difference wasn't Tyreek Hill. The difference wasn't Travis Kelce. The difference was Patrick Mahomes. So just swapping the quarterback out made this playmaker group go from 27th to first. Let's take a look at last year. This is going into last season. The Washington Commanders had the 26th ranked playmaker group. It doesn't count quarterback. Remember, this is wide receiver, tight end, and running back. Terry McLaurin, you got Zach Ertz in here, you got Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler, you got the whole thing. 26th. Okay. Next year, I would assume they're top 5. Going into 2025, they'll be top 5. What about the Houston Texans with CJ Stroud? CJ Stroud's Houston Texans going into his rookie season were 32nd, the 32nd ranked position group in the NFL. Okay. Now, what would be the reasons for this? Okay, because on the surface it doesn't make sense, right? Like on the surface it doesn't make sense that a worse wide receiver group or a worse offensive line would make a rookie quarterback better. That doesn't make sense. So my hypothesis is that because of bad quarterback play, it is disproportionately changing our perception of an offensive line or a wide receiver group, right? Nico Collins and Tank Dell seem really bad when Davis Mills is the quarterback. The offensive line of whoever seems bad when you have a bad quarterback who's taking sacks, holding on to the ball, doing all, because we know sacks can be a quarterback stat. So my hypothesis with this is that we're doing a really bad job of forecasting how good players are unless they have a really good quarterback. Right here, obviously, an offense with Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Demarcus Robinson even, should not be anywhere near the 27th ranked offense. But they can't realize their potential. I mean, you can even look at like this offensive line, right? They can't realize their potential. This is 23-year-old Tyreek Hill, 28-year-old Travis Kelce, 23-year-old Demarcus Robinson, 22-year-old Kareem Hunt. It's hard to realize their value and their potential without high-level quarterback play. Okay? So what do we learn? Like, what is the point here? The point is the quarterback position is so valuable, and it uplifts the entire perception of the team that you're always a quarterback away. Just like Washington learned, just like Houston learned, just like Kansas City learned, like all those teams learned. The idea that you're not a quarterback away is inherently false. And it's so false that it should be the complete opposite of every team is a quarterback away, no matter who they are. The Browns, the Saints, the Giants, they are all a quarterback away. Every team is the MVP, all-pro, whatever level quarterback away from boom, you're a contender. The Houston Texans last year were a very popular pick to represent the AFC in the AFC championship game. Now, it didn't work out, but, Washington, this year, I guarantee you, the Commanders are one of the favorites to be in the NFC title game. They were in the NFC title game last year. You are a quarterback away. Jaden Daniels took, what did we just show? The 20-something ranked, what did we just show? They were the 26th ranked playmaker group, and then whatever it was, the 29th ranked offensive line. But because Daniels was so good, didn't matter, right? So this is one of those things that's said, but is not only not true, it's like as far away from the truth as possible.
The other side, all 3 levels, they got to get younger and faster. So, look, if they really love one of the quarterbacks, you take the quarterback because who knows when you're going to get another chance. But I'm just saying I would be a little bit wary given the state of this roster.
So my initial point was going to be, does Kellen Moore want a running quarterback? But I do think it's worth having a conversation around the talking point of you only draft him if you love him. What happens if you really like him? You know, there are quarterbacks that are just good players. And if teams are going to get stuck into this mindset of we are only going to draft that position if we love them, how many guys in the NFL are worthy of being falling in love with that?
See, this is a point that we made a couple weeks ago where I was saying if you think Shedeur at the time, if you think Shedeur
That position
is, I was doing her no favors there. If you think Shedeur is Tua or Dak Prescott or whatever, or take Shedeur out, just any quarterback. If you think they are that level of player, you have to take them in the top 10 because that's how important the quarterback position is. Now, the separate conversation, the completely different conversation, is how good you think the quarterbacks are. Because if you don't think Shedeur is good, or if you don't think Jackson Dart is good, or whoever, then don't draft him. That's a completely separate thing. Completely different. What we're saying is, and the whole point here, is the idea that you're not a quarterback away should stop you from taking a quarterback is wrong. A good quarterback changes everything. It's that important. And now then it goes into, which doesn't mean we'll just take quarterback every year. Because one, you have to evaluate who the quarterbacks are. Like you can look at players like Zach Wilson, you can look at players like even Trevor Lawrence, you can of just busts. I was just like, missed, bust. You know, they didn't lift the playmakers, they didn't lift the offensive line because they were ass. Okay. So there is an evaluation part of this where you have to nail the quarterback. You have to hit on that. But if you can identify who the quarterback is, they're always worth the pick. Because there is not a position more important. And then you can talk about like the first round, and you can talk about the fifth round, the 5th-year option and all that stuff. But you absolutely should take the quarterback if you can identify who the player is, how good they are.
They do have 9 picks in this draft. You wonder, like, do they think they could get somebody later that they
I go back to last year and I go, and Shefty could probably talk to this a little bit, but did Denver absolutely love Bo Nix, or did they really?
Yeah. I believe Sean Payton had, I'm pretty sure that the Broncos had Bo Nix as the 2nd quarterback on the board, and they had Jaden Daniels first. So I'm pretty sure, if I remember this correctly, that the Broncos actually had Bo Nix graded out higher than Caleb Williams.
Really like him. Did Minnesota, no questions asked, love J.J. McCarthy, or did they really like him? And so the love versus like thing I just find is interesting because at some point you need a good player. You need a good player to at least have a chance.
Yeah, and I'll also speak to this. Like some people say, like you gotta have a generational quarterback. Only a generational quarterback should be taken top 10. And I don't think that's true either, because you look at someone like C.J. Stroud, he's not generational. He's not even elite at this point yet. We don't even know. There's some people who still say that maybe Bryce Young, maybe C.J. Stroud, like who's the better quarterback coming out of that class? Like he's still in that world of he's probably fringe top 10, but he's certainly not an MVP. He's certainly not generational. He's certainly not elite, not yet, right? But you would definitely take him. You would absolutely take him top 10. You would probably take him first overall, right? So the idea that like you have to find a Joe Burrow or you have to find Patrick Mahomes, that's not true. You're trying to find above average is like the baseline. Geno, Dak, Russell Wilson when he in his prime, he was higher than above average, but you get my point. Jalen Hurts, like Jalen Hurts isn't generational. Jalen Hurts isn't the elite quarterback. Like he's not that. He is above average baseline with moments of greatness, and if he puts it all together, he could be an MVP. But he would absolutely get taken top 10, absolutely get taken first overall.
Well, Dan, let me say this. When you are drafting a quarterback, you are marrying him. And you don't marry a partner that you like. You marry a partner that you love. And the Denver Broncos didn't like Bo Nix. They loved Bo Nix. Okay? The Minnesota Vikings really liked J.J. McCarthy. I think they would have liked to have had Drake May, but they couldn't marry the woman that they really loved, so they settled for the next best thing. And in this particular case, I think the draft is all about where you attach the value. Now, I don't know where the Saints have grades on Jackson Dart and Tyler Shuck, but if they feel like they can get one of them in the back end of the first round, in the second round, maybe they feel like the best thing to do is wait. I even had one football executive say that the best thing the Saints can do right now, and they would disagree with this in New Orleans, it was just a suggestion for another team, the best thing they could do is tank this year and then try to see if they can entice Arch Manning to come out after next year to come back in to play quarterback in New Orleans. Now, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but it's fun to speculate at this time of the year when we're going over scenarios like that. But, Dan, let me just leave you with this. Would you have married your wife if you didn't love her? No, you would not have.
No, of course not. Absolutely not. I was lucky that she loved me more than I loved her.
Oh, don't mean it.
Okay.
Sweet.
There you go, Dan.
Well, I really like the question that you posed, Dan, because I actually think context matters in this, similar to relationships. Frankly, people are more likely to settle a little bit, maybe when they're further along in life, they want to have kids. And it's kind of the same with an NFL franchise. Like, if you're a team that truly is either a quarterback away or you're really stable and you got a good roster, I actually think there should be greater willingness. Hey, let's just get a guy we really like versus a team like the Saints that really has so much, I feel like, rebuilding to do. Weirdly enough, their standard for a quarterback, I feel, has to be higher because they have other things to do on their roster.
While we were having this conversation.
Isn't it interesting, though? Like, after you see the stats, like, isn't it interesting that after we unveiled the data and we all understand now, if you've made it this far into the video, you understand now that there is no such thing as not being a quarterback away. There's no such thing as needing to build the offensive line or the playmakers or all that. We all agree with that. Isn't it funny how it changes the conversation completely? And I mean, this video is like 20 minutes long, somewhere in there. I'm sure a lot of y'all, and feel free to let me know in the comments, I'm sure a lot of y'all are like, damn, like, this is something I thought for 10 years, 10, 15 years. You know, like I've always thought build the offensive line first, build the defensive line first, and a quarterback can't succeed with a bad offensive line. Like, I've always thought that. And then you see it and you're like, well, I'll throw that out. It's crazy how, and I always reference analytics and data and information and stuff versus non-information. It's crazy. And this is why I get so frustrated with, like, the big mass media, because there are things that are said and believed and the narratives that are pushed and whatever by big time professionals, you know, like on ESPN, that it takes 10 minutes of research to completely eliminate it, just completely throw it out, you know. So, but, and I'll end you on this because I want to remind you here, this isn't the Saints should take Shador or the Saints should take Jackson Dart. This is if you have identified the quarterback, because you could be in a situation like with Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis and Desmond Ridder, where you grade them out and you're like, none of these guys are good. All right, like, these guys aren't good players. So if that's the case, don't take them. You know, like, drafting a bad quarterback every single year is not going to get you any closer to getting a good quarterback. What you should do is just try and figure out and attach your grades to the quarterbacks, and you have to be able to successfully identify who those guys are. You have to be able to successfully identify who are the good quarterbacks, who are the bad quarterbacks, where can I get each, what's the value. That's it. I've heard people say, if the Saints don't draft Shador Sanders, I'm out. I'm done with the team. Well, what if Shador Sanders is a bust? What if he can't play? What if Tyler Shuck's the better quarterback? What if Will Howard's the better quarterback? We shouldn't care about the name. We shouldn't care about the pick, like 9th overall versus 40th overall. If the better quarterback is available at 40th overall, do that, right? Like, it doesn't matter where you get the player. as long as you are getting the player. And then some people say, well, I would be pissed if the Saints trade back into the first round to draft Jalen Milroe. Well, how many Baltimore Ravens fans right now do you think are pissed that the Ravens traded back into the first to get Lamar Jackson? Like, it doesn't matter as long as you identify and pick the right player. However you get to the finish line, get to the finish line. However you get to that quarterback, get to him. If it's trading up, if it's trading back, if it's waiting, if it's drafting in the first round, if it's drafting in the second round or third round, that doesn't matter. It's crazy because your offensive line doesn't matter, your playmakers don't matter, where you draft them don't matter, and the capital spent to acquire doesn't matter as long as you get the player. That's it. We recently did a video about the Saints trading their entire draft for Ricky Williams. They tried to do it the year before to get Peyton Manning. If they would have traded their entire draft and got Peyton Manning, it wouldn't have mattered. If the Chiefs would have traded their entire... You could argue that if the Chiefs traded 2 full drafts to acquire Patrick Mahomes, it wouldn't have mattered. That's how important it is to nail the quarterback selection. So, not only are the Saints a quarterback away, every team in the NFL has been proven. Every team is a quarterback away. Ladies and gentlemen, did you learn something today? If so, drop a comment down there. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it, and I will see you in the next video.